What else are you supposed to do up in the nosebleeds but gas a bunch of you know what? This has happened to every single one of us. If you've, partake in the odd liquor drank and some dome beers or wherever you are, and you can tell that's coming right out of the belly. I feel bad for the kid that it happened in such a public space where there's nowhere to go up in the nose or bleeds. But yeah, he definitely. My brother had to teach me when I was young. He's like, once you get a little buzz on, then you just take her easy. I didn't know that. I just thought you went full gas the whole time, and I did a little projectile vomiting around grandma's cabin one day too. So I
Oh,
feel for this kid. Feel for this kid.
is
Things
that
happen.
right?
Yeah,
Grandma's
lesson learned.
cabin, and you just went full send.
Well, there was guys that played for Randy Carlisle. And as soon as the news broke, they just were straight to their fucking phone to be like, "Get me out of here." Like, they didn't like him. They had him in
Yeah.
Anaheim, didn't like him, didn't want him, didn't want anything to do with him, didn't want to play for him again. And ultimately, those guys all pretty much ended up playing for him, but didn't like the cut of his jib. And then that was just a kind of a bad tone to set off with a new guy at the helm. I mean, I think you got to do your research, know who you're getting, why you're getting him, who has experiences with them. If you got 3, 4 guys in the locker room that hate this guy's guts, how can you hire him, right?
This is Morgan Riley and Austin Matthews healthy. This is what you get. Like when people were down on Riley last year and all, and even on Matthews, nobody wants to play less than. Those guys were hurt. That collision against the Islanders with Riley, I don't think he was ever 100% after that until maybe the playoffs. And you saw what he did in the playoffs. To me, he's the engine of the team.
Everyone comes flying in. Oh, the one guy's like spearing. Oh no, 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 no. You can't do that. Guy's on his back and he sheds him and starts bare knuckle bombing him one after another, just fucking starting the lawnmower in the guy's face. Ow.
People saying prison time should be in store. Have they not watched hockey in the 90s, the 80s, 70s? It's crazy to me, man. The Leafs are the NHL's most annoying fan base. Like, I don't know if they just pulled everybody in Montreal or somewhere. Like, even I see Florida Panthers have 0 people. They have a pretty annoying fan base. I know Leafs fans a bit triggered by that. I just call it jealousy, honestly. I just call it jealousy. I don't know how you see it. I think teams will look at Liljegren and be like, you know what, he makes a lot of sense. I think there's potential there still with the player, and I think he's a guy the Leafs would probably move on from. Like, I think at this point, we know what Liljegren is. I think the expectation is that he could sneak into a guy who's a 1-3, but I think he's more of a 3-6. So would you deal Liljegren to get an upgrade?
You just have to weigh the options. Are we better making this deal? And you want to feel like you can, give someone something that they need kind of desperately that you're not desperate for right now, and get something that they're not going to use, like a rental or something that you're desperately looking for. That's that D man. Make the deal. And if Lily's involved in that, fine.
What you think of that gift the Leafs gave to John Tavares for his 1,000th point? So they honor him on Tuesday. They gave him a painting.
I know. I was wondering where you hang that big goddamn monster. Beautiful painting and stuff like that, but like, you think he's just gonna fire that up over the mantle? I don't know what you really do with that.
I did these Slim Jim commercials like years ago, and the whole deal was they put these paintings of Edge doing these insane things like spearing a werewolf and doing a kickstand skateboard in the Grand Canyon and all of those things. Well, they sent them to me. These things are massive. Like they're giant portraits. I'm like, what am I going to do with these? Like they're cool, but I'm not going to hang them up in the
Yeah.
house. Like, what do you?
Coming back from the flu, Matthew Nyes, have yourself a start, dude. The guy was fantastic. We're going to talk about that line in general, but his first NHL fight, and who better to break it down but you?
Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty wicked, man. At first, I didn't even see the Domi getting whacked in the mouth there. Domi gets whacked, and Nicey goes right over and just starts doing his thing in the corner. Like, he's a big, strong kid, and he just starts working this prick over in the corner. The guy doesn't like it, and away they go. And does Nicey start off with some left-handers there, too? My goodness, this kid. I mean, speaking of being a wreck, this kid just is all the right things, man. I love him. He's if like I said, if I'm gonna get a jersey, a Leafs jersey, it's gonna be a nice guy jersey without question. I love it.
Or did you raid Mitch Marner's closet for that look or what?
So
Ah,
actually, it's a company in Toronto, Coup de Tete, right? And I'd been seeing their hats, and I was like, "Ooh, I got an idea. I play Ares, the God of War. I'm going in full Ares." So they measured up my noggin on like over Zoom, and we're able to get the measurements to that thing. And I was like, yeah, I'm going for it. I'm going to do it. And guess what? People are going to talk about it. And they did.
And then I look at a guy like Jacob Chikrin Rosie, who's a year and a half away from UFA status, and he sees just the dismay around him. And I just wonder what he's thinking as he approaches UFA and he makes $4.6 million next season.
Didn't we just have 4 point something schmilly open up on the back end? Dude, yeah, I look at him like stud, like first round pick. He's only 25 years old, tons of offensive upside. But you look at some of the dumpster fire teams that he's been on, and his plus minus is pretty solid. Like aside from 1 year in Arizona, if you even want to call that an NHL franchise. Matthews last night was just like,
Oh,
it's like, how do you get? It's just easy for him, man. Where guys usually have to like get in the spot, corral the puck, look at what's open, check out where you're shooting, and then get the shot off clean and execute the accuracy. He just does it in just one swift motion. Like his eyes are fucking closed, man.
68th career 2-goal game. His 8th straight 25-goal season, dude. It's December 20th, and he's on pace for 70 plus. But I sort of put like a half-assed, half-joking tweet, I should say, about him catching Ovechkin and Gretzky. I think people need to pump the brakes because right away after that, the algorithm, it is what it is, with people tweeting how there's no doubt Matthews is catching Gretzky and he's catching Ovechkin. There's zero fucking accountability with this team. Zero. They lose this series. It's like, oh, we'll get them next year. They lose 9-3. They're like, yeah, it's an embarrassment. Like, you want to talk about accountability? Put Mitch Marner on your fourth line for a couple games. Like, fucking send a message. Like, I think that's what's been lost in the shuffle here.
I like to see a little bit of jam on every single line, like a little bit, of ability to get in the corner and get that puck back. Neisy can absolutely do that. I think Domi can do it. I'd like to see him do it more. Like play with a little grit, just lead with your chin a little bit. And Marner's not going to do that stuff. He doesn't really have to, but he's there with you as your big poppy on the side of the line.
I would think strongly about sending this guy down to the HL away from the team because at this point, it's literally costing the team. Like, again, I'm not taking the blame away from the rest of the team yesterday in that loss, but I think Samsonov was a big reason why they got in that type of hole. And I want this guy nowhere close to Leafs crease. I know Wool's out. I know they have Hildaby in the minors. They don't want to rush him along. He's like 23. They got Petrozelli. I mean, their options are limited. But I think it's Martin Jones' time. That's all I can say. To get, you got to give, and vice versa. And it's unfortunate to say, but this is why I think you have to be happy with the prospect capital they've been building quietly over the last couple of years. The evolution of a Minton, Cowan, the way he's performed since being drafted. Like, it's good, it's positive, but you're trying to win now. You're not trying to win 4 years from now. I don't know what to tell people.
Minton and Cowan are good players, and their stock went up drastically after this preseason, and that's a good thing. But there's no guarantees on anything. I mean, we could hold on to these guys, and in 2 years, we'd be calling them bums, and the whole city would turn on them because they're not producing, and we had such high hopes with you. Well, all that same old song and dance that can happen.
People stop saying Nick Robertson. Like, nobody views Nick Robertson as anything in this league. I'm sorry. If they did, he would have been traded already. Like,
he's got potential again, and that's everyone's holding on to a couple years ago when he was the hot shit prospect, and his stock unfortunately has gone down. It didn't stay where it was. He hasn't proven to be a blue chip guy, and he hasn't proven to be ready to take the step. I just think we should give a video tribute to anyone who gets more than 1 point against the Leafs when they come back, and you just got to acknowledge that, and everyone needs to stand, and he needs to wave and then throw some flowers and roses down to the bench, and then have the ice crew come down and pick him up, and everyone's just saluting and blowing kisses. I think that's how it needs to be done.
I think they should just throw bras on the ice, period, every game.
Like
yeah, I know you would. That'd be a personal favorite as well. But
I'd get the ISO cam going in the crowd.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think that would be your bread and butter. We'd probably have somebody on board, one of our sponsors on board for that. No acknowledgement whatsoever. And I get it. Like, Dubas was fired, Spezza quit, but no acknowledgement. Like, it was like these guys didn't exist, man. I thought it was perfect. I won't lie.
I don't see why you'd acknowledge a past general manager who got fired. Like, "Well, let's all. What are you talking about? Like every time. What about a guy that's been in the fucking league for like 15 years? Every time he goes on a thing, he's got to do a big stand up and wait. Like, what are you talking about? That's just dumb. So I'm glad they didn't. They got it right. So
I
dumb.
would have gone full heel and I would have popped that on the screen in the third period when a 7 Cobb leaves. Welcome back, Kyle and Jason.
That would actually be cool. Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming and put a ISO on them 7 Cobb and see if they even react. It would be unreal to see their reaction. That would have been a lot cooler than anything else they did.